Hello students, welcome to the Samveda e-learning classes. Dear children, today we are going to learn Social Science, 9th standard, Political Science part, the first lesson of the Political Science, our Constitution. Dear children, in this class, we will be able to understand the Constituent Assembly of Constitution, the Constitution Drafting Committee and Framing of Indian Constitution, the Preamble to the Indian Constitution, and the salient features of Indian Constitution. Along with that, the fundamental rights, duties, and directive principles of state policies. All these points we will be learning in this lesson, children. Dear students, India became an independent country in the year 1947. Soon after the independence, India had to face numerous problems. Among the problems faced by India, rehabilitating the refugees was one of the major problems. Merger of all the princely states of India into the Indian Union, the second important task to the leaders, and the third one, maintenance of the law and order in the country was the another important problem. The leaders have done their job and settled all these kind of the issues. Among the leaders' children, we cannot forget the name here, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the first Home Minister of independent India, who is very popularly known as the Iron Man of India, successfully merged all the princely states to the Indian Union. After that, we had a great challenge of framing the Indian Constitution, children. And that process also started in the year 1946. And today, in this class, we are learning the journey of making of Indian Constitution. And what are the characteristics of the Indian Constitution? Fundamental rights, fundamental duties, all these points we will be learning in the class here. Before we are explored to the Constitution of India, how did Indian Constitution come into effect? How our Constitution was prepared, that we will be able to learn first. Dear students, the Constitution of India prepared by the Constituent Assembly. What is this Constituent Assembly? When did this Constituent Assembly come into existence? And when was Indian Constitution prepared? We will learn in this class. First and foremost point, what is Constitution? Constitution is a set of rules and regulations guiding the administration of a state. When was the process of making Constitution began in India? The roots of the making of Indian Constitution begins from the year 1939. In the year 1939, the National Congress, which was held at Karachi in the year 1939, a committee headed by Motilal Nehru recommended the Constitution for India, and there should be a Constituent Assembly to prepare the Constitution in India. After that, the British government sent a cabinet commission to India in the year 1946, which was headed by three leaders, Lord Pethick Lawrence, who was the then Secretary of Indian Affairs, Sir Strafford Cripps, the President of the Board of Trade, A.V. Alexander, the first Lord of the Admiralty. The three members committee came to India here, which was sent by the Britain Parliament. According to the recommendations of the Cabinet Commission, a Constituent Assembly was formed in the year 1946, children. The Constituent Assembly of India comprised 389 members. Later on, when India divided in the year 1947, the Constituent Assembly was also divided. and the number of Constituent Assembly of India reduced to 299. And in this Constituent Assembly, from Karnataka, 7 members represented. What is the meaning of Constitution? I already told you, children, Constitution is a set of rules and regulations guiding the administration of a state. The Indian Constituent Assembly, the first meeting of the Indian Constituent Assembly, children. For the first time, they met on 9th December 1946. The first Constituent Assembly headed by Sachidananda Sinha, temporary chairman of the Constituent Assembly in the year 1946. And the next meeting was held on 11th December 1946 under the chairmanship of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of independent India. The Constituent Assembly had 299 members, I told you, children, who represented the different religions, the different regions of India, the different castes, the different communities, the different genders. The most prominent leaders of the Constituent Assembly of India, followed by Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad, the Vice President T.T. Krishnamachari. After that, we do have the members Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Sri Rajagopalachari, K.M. Munshi, T.T. Krishnamachari, Srimati Sarojini Naidu, Srimati Sucheta Kripalani, S. Nijalingappa, K.C. Reddy, Kengal Hanumantayya, Teikuru Subramanyam. These are all the famous leaders of the Constituent Assembly. I said, from Karnataka, there were some eminent leaders represented the Constituent Assembly, children. Among that, S. Nijalingappa, K.C. Reddy, Kengal Hanumantayya, Teikuru Subramanyam, and there were other members participated, children. You can look at the various leaders of the Constituent Assembly here, children. Dear students, followed by the Constituent Assembly, once the Constitution was prepared here, the drafting committee played a very important role in the bringing up the new Constitution to India. To prepare a Constitution of India, Constituent Assembly formed 22 committees, 5 subcommittees to examine in detail all the issues related to the country. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was one of the chairmen of the drafting committee, children. Role of Ambedkar in making of Indian Constitution is unforgettable, children. Due to his efforts, he is called as the chief architect of Indian Constitution. Apart from him, the other members whom I named already here, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, K.M. Munshi, T.T. Krishnamachari are the some of the eminent leaders took the major role in the making of Indian Constitution as well as in the drafting committee. Dear children, finally, the Constitution of India prepared. But how long they took to complete the Constitution of India? Totally 2 years, 11 months, 18 days time they took to complete the Constitution of India, children. 145 days meetings were held there. Discussions were held. 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. Finally, our Constitution approved in the year 26th November 1949. Very important, children. When was Indian Constitution approved? The Constitution was approved November 26, 1949. But it did not come into force on that particular year. So, Constitution has come into force in the year 1950, 26th January, because of one of the historical incident. To frame the Constitution of India, various laws were referred here to make the Constitution of India. For example, the Government of India Act 1909, the Government of India Act 1919, 1935 Government of India Act. Apart from that, the British parliamentary system, the American Bill of Rights, the social directive principles policy, all these we have incorporated from various constitutions to the Indian Constitution. Dear children, you can look at that. There is a table. Indian Constitution borrowed various features from the various countries. All that has been enlisted there. Look at here. For example, British Constitution. We have borrowed parliamentary form of the government from Britain, rule of law, law-making procedure, single citizenship, institution of speaker, doctrine of pleasure, tenure of civil servants. For example, American Constitution again, judicial system, fundamental rights. Canadian Constitution, federal system. So various features India has borrowed from the various constitutions. Finally, children, the Constitution of India approved 26th November 1949 and it has come into force on 26th January 1950. The day when the Constitution come into force, that day we do celebrate the Republic Day in the country. Dear students, when you take any book, when you open any book, so you will be able to find an index to the book, any textbook or any kind of the book. If you are referring, you will be reading first page as an index. Meanwhile, the Indian Constitution also, it has an index here. It is known as the Preamble. The Preamble of the Indian Constitution has various fundamental policies and ideals of the makers of Indian Constitution. The Preamble contains the fundamental policies and ideals of the Constitution. The total sum of the structure, values, principles, goals of the Constitution can be seen in Preamble. The Preamble is based on aspirations and ideals of the people of India, children. It has considered one of the best preamble of the world's different constitutions. Preamble to the Constitution. How did this preamble come into existence in the Constitution? The preamble is a part of the objective resolution put forward by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on December 13th, 1946 and approved by the Constituent Assembly on 22nd January 1947, children. Nehru proposed the objective resolution that there should be a preamble to our Constitution, and that is a beautiful preamble we find today, children. This resolution upholds the natures of India's sovereign, democratic, republic nature, social, economic and political justice for all people upheld in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. The preamble to our Constitution is meaningful, children. It describes our political system and is a key to understand our Constitution. It has been described as the jewel of the Constitution. Very important point here. And K.M. Munshi referred the preamble as the political horoscope. Dear students, then how do this preamble begins? With what words the preamble starts? Look at here. The preamble of Indian Constitution begins with "We the citizens of India." It means we the people of India, ourselves. The preamble of the Constitution begins "We the people of India." The Indian Constitution framed by the Indians. It strives to fulfill the dreams of Indians, children. In the beginning, in the preamble, it is clearly said, India is a sovereign country. What is a sovereign nation? A sovereign nation is nothing but it is free to take its own internal as well as external decisions. It is not under the control of any of the foreign authority. And we are not part of any power block, children. India has its own foreign policy. It has a non-alignment policy, 5-year plans. By implementing all these kind of the foreign policies, India has set its own path in the international journey. The goal of our constitution is to create a social equality and promote a welfare of all the people of the country. So therefore, to enable this, the directive principles of state policy have been incorporated in the constitution through the 42nd amendment done in the year 1976, children. What is an amendment here? Amendment is very simple. It is a patchwork to the constitution. Amendments are nothing but changes made to the earlier rules and regulations. Dear children, followed by the sovereign, India is a secular country. The word secular has been incorporated to the Indian Constitution according to the 42nd Amendment, which was held in the year 1976. What do you understand by the word secular here? It means there is no state religion accepted by the Indian Constitution. All the religions are treated equally, and the citizens have the liberty to practice any religion in this country, children. That followed by that, we do have a democratic republic. India is a democratic republic country. Elections are held every 5 years through universal adult franchise. And the head of our country is elected by the people indirectly. The head of state is the President of India, who is elected for a period of 5 years, proves that our country is a republic. What is democratic? Democratic is nothing but the rule by the people here. The rule by the Indians, children. My dear students, see, that is all about the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Followed by the preamble of Indian Constitution, we have here the second concept, that is salient features of our Constitution. The main characters of the Indian Constitution, children. Beautiful characters are there. Indian Constitution is called a written and a lengthy Constitution. Yes, our Constitution is one of the biggest written lengthy Constitution. And we have 3 main organs in the Constitution, children. It deals with the 3 organs, legislature, executive and the judiciary. Along with that, we do have fundamental rights, duties, directive principles. Originally, our Constitution, it had 22 chapters, 8 schedules and 395 articles. But later on, there are many amendments to the Constitution. But today, there are 25 chapters in the Constitution, 12 schedules are there, 465 articles. Indian Constitution, the second important feature of the Constitution of India, partially flexible and partially rigid Constitution. Dear children, there are some provisions in the Indian Constitution. We can make changes to that provisions, means easily we can amend those with a simple majority. Along with this, there are also some other provisions. We cannot make the amendment without a special provision, means without a special majority. To do some changes, we need some special majority there. Therefore, it is called partially flexible and partially rigid Constitution. See, Indian Constitution allows the parliamentary form of the government, children. You can look at the image here. We have the parliament, the main legislative organ of the country, lawmaking body, and the Parliament of India consists the 2 houses there. The sovereign power of the nation is vested in the elected parliament. The executive is responsible to the legislature at the central and state levels. The cabinet shall be in power as long as it enjoys the confidence of the legislature. As soon as the confidence of the legislature is lost, and the government has to resign. And India, it has a republican system. What is republican system? The constitution has declared India is a republic. The head of the country is indirectly elected by the people. Indian president is the constitutional head of the country. He is also called the nominal head of the country. He plays an important role to take decisions. Along with that, India is a federal system country. India has adopted the federal system. What is federal system? The powers have been divided to the various constitutional units here. Our constitution provides a federal form of the government because we have different languages, different castes, different races, different geographical regions. Therefore, we are adopting the federal system. The powers are shared by the central and the state governments. Dear children, we learn the powers, the subjects are divided into 3 lists here. There is something called the central list which has 100 subjects. The central government is empowered to make laws on that. Then we have the state list. 61 subjects are there. The state governments are empowered to make laws on the state list. And there is also called concurrent list. We have 52 subjects. So, state government as well as the central government can make the laws on concurrent list. But in case if there is any conflict between the central law and the state law of the same concurrent topic, the law made by the central will prevail. The Supreme Court possesses powers to solve all the disputes relating to the center and the state. Dear children, the another important feature is the fundamental rights. The Indian Constitution provides the fundamental rights to the citizens of the country. We the people, we have some fundamental rights. There are 6 fundamental rights where it is granted for every Indian. The rights that the Constitution has given to the people are called fundamental rights. No law of any government, central or state, or any organization can deny these fundamental rights. These are basic rights. Even if these fundamental rights are suspended, immediately you can approach the judiciary system, High Court or Supreme Court. Within a very short span, you will be given rights. Fundamental rights are taken away or endangered, the citizen can directly appeal to the High Court or the Supreme Court. The rights are listed in the 3rd part of the Constitution. Followed by the fundamental rights, we do have fundamental duties, children. There are 11 fundamental duties prescribed in the Constitution where every Indian had to follow the fundamental duties. See, Constitution has assured some fundamental rights also. Along with that, it also expects some duties to be discharged by all the citizens of the country. 11 fundamental duties are listed in the A part of the 4th chapter under the clause 51A of our Indian Constitution. Through the 86th Amendment to the Constitution in the year 2002, it has been made a duty of parents to provide compulsory education to their children aged between 6 to 14 years. Right to education, children. It is a fundamental duty of the parent also. And this has become the 11th duty mentioned in the Constitution. Along with that, we have directive principles of state policies here. Directive principles of state policy, it has been incorporated in the 4th schedule of our Constitution. We have borrowed this concept from Ireland country. They are the base for the establishment of the socio-economic equality in the country. These principles required for the administration of the country. The governments have to implement all these kind of the principles, and these principles cannot be questioned in the court of justice. See, when it comes to the fundamental rights, you can approach the court, but when it comes to the direct principles of state policy, we cannot approach the court. They are in the nature of implementing the policy of the government. Independent and centralized judiciary system. India has adopted the independent and centralized judicial system. There is something called the apex court. At the head, there is a apex court, Supreme Court. Followed by the Supreme Court, there are high courts. Followed by high courts, there are subordinate courts. The courts have the authority to give bold judgments in order to protect the rights of people. You can see Supreme Court of India in the image, children. You can also see the hierarchical structure of the judicial system of India in this image. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and remaining all other courts, as I told you, high courts and subordinate courts are there. Single citizenship, another important feature here. The Constitution provides for the provision of single citizenship. Dear students, we the people, wherever we can reside in the territorial part of India, we are all given only one citizenship here. That is called the single citizenship. We are all the citizens of India. Whereas in compared to America and all, there are dual citizenship. There is one state, there is a citizenship from the state side also. There is one more citizenship from the country side. But here we have only single citizenship. The reason why the single citizenship has been provided here, to curb the narrow-minded provincialism and to promote the nationalism. And the citizens of this country have the same rights irrespective of their place of birth and residence. The legislature possesses the power to frame rules in this matter. Adult franchise, the another important feature of the Constitution, children. What is adult franchise? All the citizens who have completed the 18 years of the age are given right to vote. It symbolizes the sovereign absolute power of the people in the country. You can see the image, children, here. The people are in queue in the election to vote. And along with that, we do have a bicameral legislature in the country, children. Bicameral legislature meaning two houses system practice. Two legislative bodies are there. In the parliament, we read about the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha is called the lower house, the Rajya Sabha is called the upper house. Bicameral legislature system. And we also have party system in the Indian Constitution. Another important feature of the Constitution, party system. Dear children, we heard there are different party systems in the world. There is something called bi-party system where there are only two political parties are there. And there is also called multi-political party system which India has. Number of political parties are there in India. All these political parties are called the pillars of the democracy, children. You can see the important political parties enlisted here. The party which wins the majority of the votes in the general election, it becomes ruling party. Whereas the rest will be in the opposition. My dear students, thank you. And I am Mr. Hemant V. Dalwai, who has been working as a resource person for social science subject, and I do work as an assistant master for the New Cambridge group of institutions, Vijayanagara, Bengaluru. Thank you, children.